All right, we made it back into the Teal Shirt Report podcast. We got the trusty microphone, got the coffee mug, and we're ready to roll. There you go. That's the better side. Okay. So thank you guys for tuning in. I was just thinking about some things like I usually do. I want to thank my wife for the t-shirt. With the microphone on there. Wow, how about that? Well, she gave me that. It's been probably over a year ago since I got it. I thought I should really thank her for that publicly. I did send her a message thanking her because it is one of my favorite t-shirts with the microphone on it. So you guys, thank you for tuning in. I've spent a lot of my life behind a microphone, terrestrial radio, for like 25 years, about 27 years, 28 years as I was adding it up one day. Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp get back on the winning track. It seems like when they ran into Durham on the road, man, the Jumbo Shrimp fell apart. Man, they got boiled by the Durham Bulls, but now they're back on the winning track. The Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp 3, Syracuse 1. That's right, Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp 3, Syracuse 1. Jumbo Shrimp get some good pitching, and now they're 23-13. That game was played on Thursday, May the 8th, at home at the VyStar Ballpark, as it's now called, the VyStar Ballpark. They've had a lot of upgrades at the VyStar Ballpark. Man, it's a great AAA park, and it's AAA baseball now for the past few years. Great product on the field, and the Jumbo Shrimp having a great year, 23-13. As far as the Jaguars go, new coaching staff, new general manager, Tony Baselli, the lone Jacksonville Jaguars representative in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, with hopefully Fred Taylor coming into the Hall of Fame eventually, Tom Coughlin, and Jimmy Smith down the road too, I would think, among the Pro Football Hall of Fame hopefuls. But right now, the executive director of football operations, the vice president, isn't he the vice president? No, we're not talking about J.D. Vance here. We're talking about Tony Baselli is the executive vice president of football operations with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, a question that I often get asked is, what's going on with the stadium? Well, you know, it's all been approved. The Jacksonville Jaguars are going to get a new stadium, the Stadium of the Future, which is going to really be... There's some work going on now, but not a lot yet. 2026, there's going to be some work done to the upper part of the stadium. In 2026, they'll only be able to get like 40,000 fans into Everbank Stadium because there'll be work going on the upper part of the stadium. 2025, we're pretty much all clear with fairly close to the same large capacity, you know, the well over 65,000 fans or more that can fit in the stadium, whatever that total comes out to be. I remember in the old Gator Bowl, we could get 75,000 people in there for like a Florida game. But now you got the suites, the swimming pool, and the amenities, right? One time I was down by the pool when I was at a game a few years ago, and one of the ushers said, "Oh, you've never checked out the pool?" I said, "No, I'm going to go down there and look at the pool." They had a bar down there and everything else, and I said, you know, I asked him. I asked the usher, "Does Shad Khan ever come down here?" And he says, "Yeah, he comes through here." And then he pointed like to some kind of office Shad Khan had upstairs just above the pool, if you know what I mean. He had an office right above the pool. So I'm walking down to the bar near the pool just to check things out, and all of a sudden the usher starts waving to me. Hey! He starts waving to me. And then I ran back to the usher, and Shad Khan was there. And he told me, his exact quote was, "Thank you for coming." So I have met Shad Khan. I've interviewed some biggies over the years, JC. Phil Negro, one of the nicest guys I ever met. Pro Baseball Hall of Famer. So Del Negro passed away in about the same span or the same year as my dad did. Hank Aaron passed away in about that same. I never interviewed Hank Aaron, but what a great player. But I interviewed Bill Negro. Pete Rose. I did interview Pete Rose as an early reporter with WJAX radio years and years ago. I believe that was early 80s. And I was a very young reporter that Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp 3, Syracuse 1. That's a good pitching performance by the Jumbo Shrimp. They're now 23-13. Icemen got beat in the playoffs 4-0, and every game they lost was an overtime 1-goal game to the Florida Everblades, who now have moved on to the second round of the East Coast Hockey League playoffs as the Jacksonville Icemen season has come to an end. The people asked me about the stadium deal, about the renovations. I know Orlando wants the 1 year where where the Jaguars will not be playing in Jacksonville in 2027. Orange County in the Orlando area commits $11 million to lure the Jaguars for 1 year. And I don't even think it's quite official yet. It's more looking like Orlando's got a much better chance or bigger chance than Gainesville. I was more preferring Gainesville. But Orlando is trying to, they're putting the money up, and you hate getting on I-4, I'll tell you that. I'm not a fan of I-4. I've been on I-4, I've gone 5 miles an hour for 45 minutes. And then after the traffic starts back up after about 45 minutes, and the toll booths start coming up. Down around Orlando, Kissimmee, D-Land, going on down to Disney World and all that. I know some people that love Disney World. I've been there, done that, quite frankly, and it's a lot of fun back in the day. But I'm going to tell you, I could walk 2, 3, 4 miles around here because you're going to do a lot of walking at Disney World. And newsflash for you, it gets even hotter there than it does here, quite frankly. Man, do I got to turn the music off? Man, I do. JC, I just cut the guitar player. He gone. The guitar player, he's gone for now to whatever he does. We do want to talk about the situation about when all this is going to be coming into play here. I had this up a minute ago. Let me see. We do know that the Jaguars will play in another town, whether it's Orlando, maybe a slight shot of Gainesville still. In 2027. 2025 is pretty much almost, as I mentioned earlier, almost the same seating capacity. They'll be doing a little bit of work here in 2025. But 2026, they start really in earnest, start working on what they call the upper area of the stadium. And in 2026, they're going to play all the games in Jacksonville, but the seating capacity will probably be around 40,000 or a little over 40,000. 2027, the Jaguars go off to play probably in Orlando, maybe in Gainesville. Still waiting on the word on that. 2028, though, is going to be a great year. I mean, the Colonel said he was going to retire in 2028. That ain't me. I'm not the Colonel, but I have a good friend. I went to high school with the Colonel. I asked him when he was going to retire from all this. He said 2028. That was his retirement year. Well, the Colonel can go to a lot of ball games then. The new stadium will be built. The stadium of the future will be built and finished and ready for the 2028 NFL regular season for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So that's kind of the timeline. 2025, everything's going to be the same. All the games at Everbank Stadium. There's actually only one game in London. I think it's Game 7 this year. And I believe it's against the LA Rams in London. I'm assuming that's a home game for the Jaguars, but there's only one game in London this year, is what I've been told. And as of yesterday, I think the only game that came out on the schedule release so far was the London game. Now, I could be wrong about that. But when we get an official schedule, we'll go over it right here on the Teal Shirt Report podcast. We're about 10 minutes in. JC, our executive producer, man, he had a great show on Thursday night. Man, oh man, JC was kicking out the Def Leppard tunes. I think he even played my tune that I like by Def Leppard, Let It Go, Let It Go, just Let It Go. A lot of other great songs. I can't remember all of them JC played, but man, what a great show. Thursday nights live from the pub with JC at LakeUpAllTheHits.com. Great internet radio where it's all good. Mad Max, I shot you a text message, and we will attempt to be on the show next Wednesday. I'm looking forward to talking some music with Max, and I'm going to tell this to JC and even Max if he's listening. Of course, the MadMaxMix.weebly.com is a show heard every Wednesday night, 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock Central Time, 7 o'clock till 9 o'clock Eastern Time, the MadMaxMix.weebly.com. I also, what I was telling Max, I sent him a message. I said, Max, I would really like to talk some music with you. I know we talk sports a lot. I talk sports on Max's show sometime, but typically his show, it's a music show. So I thought this go round, I'm pulling up the website, thebigjreport.com. We're brought to you by Saucer Realty and Capital for your real estate needs in North Florida, whether it's home, residential, business, or commercial real estate. Saucer Realty and Capital. Check our homepage. Near the weather report, you'll find the link for Saucer Realty and Capital. If you need to or want to sell your home or buy a second home, Saucer Realty and Capital. Also, I listened to JC's show last night. Man, I went to the link at bigjreport.com in the Neighbors 2 section, clicked on LakeUpAllTheHits.com, and I was listening to the show. I'm going to listen to Mad Max's show next Wednesday. I listen to Mad Max's show most every Wednesday. I really do. It's a great show. Also, the reason why I'm talking about music right now is I told Max that I really wanted to talk music with him on his show next Wednesday. And Max, and even JC, you can spread the word to Max as well. I wanted to talk about some of the artists coming to North Florida and surrounding areas. And I was going to get Max's opinion on them. What he thought about this one or that one. Rick Springfield will be coming to St. Augustine, to the St. Augustine Amphitheater. Tickets for Rick Springfield. I Want My 80s Tour, featuring Rick Springfield, John Waite, Wang Chung, and John Cafferty. Wang Chung's song was what? Dance Hall Days was their big hit. John Cafferty had a band called the Beaver Brown Band, I believe, but here it says just John Cafferty. I don't see anything about the Beaver Brown Band. Maybe they'll be with him or not. I'm not sure. Tickets for Rick Springfield. I Want My 80s Tour featuring John Waite, Wang Chung, John Cafferty. That show will be on May the 29th of 2025 at the St. Augustine Amphitheater. Those tickets are on sale now while they last, or you may have to go online. My favorite thing is to go by the box office, but at this point, those tickets are probably gone and being sold online for that show with Rick Springfield on May 29th of 2025 at the St. Augustine Amphitheater. And coming soon, the rock band Heart. JC, our executive producer, I just found out about this show. I think it's been out there for a while, but I just found out about it a couple of days ago, and I thought we'd put it up on our in our concert listings in our Neighbors 2 section at bigjreport.com. The rock band Heart will be performing in St. Augustine, Florida. We'll be in St. Augustine, JC, on Tuesday evening, June 24th of 2025 at 7 o'clock p.m. at the St. Augustine Amphitheater. I got a question, JC, for you, and I don't know the answer. I'm just throwing it out there. Is Heart in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Now, maybe with Heart, if they're not, perhaps it's just a question of, how many albums or how many actual hits did they have? They had some big ones. I mean, they had really rock anthems like Barracuda. What a great song. Magic Man. There was a song that might have been considered an album track or a lesser known hit. What was it called? Was it called Dog and Butterfly by Heart? Great song, too. Great song. JC, I'd recommend you play that on your show on Thursday nights. Um, so I don't know if they're in, and I could look it up, but I'm going to let JC. JC does most of our music research, out here with BigJReport.com and the Teal Shirt Report podcast. So my question would be, is Hart in the Hall of Fame? I know Hart had a big, comeback, in the somewhere in the 1980s. They were huge in the 1970s. I think that song was called Dog and Butterfly, and it's a beautiful song. I think that's what it's called. If you can imagine. Well, actually, the album, the song is what is it? The Heart's Dog and Butterfly album. That's what it is. Heart's Dog and Butterfly album. But the title track of that album is really a beautiful song, too. But they had great songs. Hart was huge in the 70s, late 70s, mid to late 70s in particularly. They had a comeback at some point in time. I think it was late 80s maybe. Or when was it, JC? Did they have a big 90s hit? And are they in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or not? And do they have a chance if they're not? I know the Cars, one of my favorite groups, got in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame several years ago, and now a couple of the members have passed away. Rick Ocasek has passed away. Benjamin Orr passed away many years earlier before Ocasek did, but they left us with a great catalog of music, as a lot of these groups do, like Heart, the Cars. So, JC, I haven't even looked it up. I could look it up. But my question is to you, our executive producer, JC, is Hart in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? If they're not, could they be? Should they be? Throwing it out there for debate. We'll take a look at concerts. We're kind of doing that. We're kind of in the midst of doing that now. Coming soon, the rock band Heart will be performing in St. Augustine, Florida on Tuesday evening, June the 24th of 2025 at 7 o'clock p.m. at the St. Augustine, Florida Amphitheater. Also, Brad Paisley will be in concert. He's more of a country act, I believe. Brad Paisley will be in concert in St. Augustine, Florida on Saturday, August the 2nd of 2025 at 7:30 p.m. at the St. Augustine Amphitheater. Now, I want Mad Max. Mad Max, I don't think he's going to be really an aficionado on Brad Paisley. Like, I'm not either. JC would be more of the aficionado on Brad Paisley, I believe, at this juncture as far as music goes, from our little network of madmaxmix.weebly.com, LakeyFallowHits.com, and JC's live from the pub show on Thursday nights. But Brad Paisley will be in concert in St. Augustine, Florida on Saturday, August the 2nd of 2025 at 7:30 p.m. at the St. Augustine Amphitheater. Also, another great event, and I want to ask Max about these guys because they were kind of an invention of was it Don Kirshner that kind of put the Monkees TV show together? They were trying to make them like an American Beatles or something like that. And a couple of the guys were musicians, a couple of the guys weren't. It was more of a TV show. It was like a rock band made for TV. And then these guys had some hits. They weren't always singing the songs, though. But now, I want the Monkees, they were a phenomenon. I think the TV show was in the mid-'60s, and I was kind of a toddler then. But I'll tell you where I saw the Monkees was really when I was playing Little League Baseball or Tadpole Baseball, or, back in when we went over to Lakeshore Athletic Association, played baseball. Criswell Field, the same field that the Leonard Skinner guys played baseball on probably, 11, 12, 13 years before I did. We're all getting older, I'll tell you that. And Max, I'm glad to hear you're doing so great after your surgery, your recent surgery too. Max sounds great on his show, madmaxmix.weebly.com on the Wednesday nights. So I've never really discussed discussed the monkeys with Mad Max. And Max he's a very good aficionado on music. Allman Brothers, Leonard Skinner, Max will play the Jefferson Airplane, I believe, at times, and he'll play Steely Dan for me and Atlanta Rhythm Section. By the way, Mad Max and JC, the reason why I was talking about the monkeys, there's only one monkey left living. Peter Tork passed away. Davy passed away. Davy Jones passed away. What was the other guy's name? Michael Naismith passed away. The only guy left living is a guy that just recently turned 80 years old, I believe. And he was the drummer. He was set up as a drummer for the Monkees. Tickets for Mickey Dolenz of the Monkees. And I'll tell you what, these guys, they made a career out of being them. Mickey Dolenz he was an actor. He was basically a kind of a child actor before he got the part on the Monkees. But I give him credit. He's 80 years old. He's got a lot of great memories. He's toured a lot because of the Monkees. The Monkees have a lot of great songs in their repertoire. I'm sure he's got new energetic band members that are going to accompany him at the Florida Theater on December the 5th of 2025. Now, this is the part I like about this particular show. Tickets for Mickey Dolenz of the Monkees are on sale, obviously, at the Florida Theater at the box office. But I like this part. It's not just going to be music. It's going to be songs and stories. Mickey Dolenz, drummer of the Monkees, the last remaining monkey, songs and stories at the Florida Theater on December the 5th of 2025. They're on sale now. The guy is 80 years old. Might be your last chance to ever see him. And the Monkees were a phenomenon. When I was talking about watching the Monkees on TV, it was on network TV. As I did some research, I didn't really know this exactly, but they were on TV, JC, actually, they were on primetime TV during the week, I can't remember what night it was, Wednesday night, Thursday night, but kind of mid-60s to late 60s, maybe 65, 67. I'd have to look it up. But what happened where I started watching the Monkees is, you remember when they had Saturday morning cartoons? In the I believe it was the early to mid 70s, somebody with one of the networks that handles Saturday morning cartoons, they said, hey, it'd be cool to throw the Monkey Show in between the cartoons. And that's how I became acquainted with the Monkees, besides the music, but more of when they showed up in repeats on Saturday mornings, probably late 10, 11 o'clock Saturday morning, along with all the other cartoons, the Jetsons, Grape Ape. If you remember Grape Ape, I think Grape Ape only ran a year or two. The Jetsons, the Flintstones, and they used to have cartoons strictly on Saturday morning. Now they've got things like the Cartoon Network and some other networks that are basically, they cater to cartoons. Like MeTV does the old shows. I love watching Hogan's Heroes and many other old shows that are out there as well. There's some good ones. MASH, great show. So there's some of our North Florida entertainment. Did we give you all well, we did. We ran down all the shows. We do we don't have all the shows up on the Neighbors 2 section at bigjreport.com. But normally I will put up the shows that I'm interested in going to see or I would recommend. They're up there in the Neighbors 2 section at bigjreport.com. Jaguars are going to be actually on the field soon. This is May 9th, man. Training camp a few weeks away. How's it going to look? You got a new head coach, what's his name? Liam Cohen, the new head coach. And I think the critical thing, there's going to be some critical things. A lot of critical things and a lot of critical questions going into training camp. And I guess maybe one of the top things is Liam Cohen developing a playbook and developing that relationship and confidence with his quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. By the way, Wyatt Millum has got to win one of those guard slots. I know Patrick McCary, the free agent from the Ravens, is probably slotted maybe to play right guard. But does Wyatt Millum earn a starting spot across the offensive line, the third-round pick, out of West Virginia? He was the Big 12 offensive lineman of the year, the Big 12 offensive lineman of the year out of West Virginia. Wyatt Millum, a third-round draft pick by general manager James Gladstone. Some things to ponder, some things to think about. We've been brought to you by Saucer Realty and Capital for your real estate needs here in North Florida, whether it's home, residential, business, or commercial real estate. We're also brought to you by the Mad Max Mix.weebly.com and Mad Max's Wednesday night show. Great show, and I'm going to most likely, Max will get together, do an interview next Wednesday on your show. JC has a great show on Thursday nights. Live from the pub with JC at LakeUvalahits.com. Great internet radio where it's all good. So thanks to our sponsors, Saucer Realty and Capital, the Mad Max Mix, and Lake Uvalah Hits. And we want to thank our executive producer, JC. Thanks for everything, JC. I don't know if Hart's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or not. I'm going to let you research that and let me know if they are or they aren't, or do they have a chance? I don't know. I'd like to know the answer to that question. If anybody knows, let us know. If the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is, sometimes you'll have groups come up in that and you say, man, should they be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I'm not even sure they were part of the rock and roll genre. You do get that as well. I think that's going to do it for the Teal Shirt Report podcast, episode show number 25. We may do an A because I haven't talked about any players' numbers here in 25, but this is episode show number 25. We're on YouTube. We're on our audio podcast as well. Special thanks to our executive producer, JC, for putting this thing together. Also, Alex Nunnery. Alex has been following Trinity Christian, doing very, very well in the high school baseball playoffs. And we're going to get something about them up on our website soon as well. Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp playing great baseball at 23-13. Again, thank you to JC, our executive producer, also Alex Nunnery, and John Gaylor, our contributor and correspondent of the Teal Shirt Report podcast and Big J Report, BigJReport.com, and our Big J Report Facebook group. Thank you so much, John Gaylor. That's going to do it. Episode show number 25 in the books. You guys have a great day. By the way, the weather, we got a 50-50 chance of getting rain. Still getting warm, especially in the afternoon, and some humidity starting to come in. High temperatures around 89 in the afternoon. Lows at night only around 68. I'm looking at the temperature now here in the 7 o'clock hour. It's 69 degrees here in Jacksonville on Friday morning, May the 9th. And we got the wind shifting a little bit. I might as well give you the weather real quick, before we go. Did I have a weather report up? I believe I did. My wife says, yes, that's a nice shirt. It's a nice T-shirt. That's why she picked it out. She liked that one for me. She knew I would like that. Weather report. Partly cloudy and warm already this morning. Man, was 71 our low? No, because we dropped down to 69 now. Forecast in North Florida, partly cloudy to mostly cloudy in North Florida. Rain chance now about 50%. High temperatures around 89 with some humidity starting to be felt. Highs in the afternoon around 89. Lows at night around 68. Winds south-southwest at about 3 to 9 miles per hour. That's the Big J Report weather report. Again, the rain chance about 50%. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Teal Shirt Report podcast. The Teal Shirt Report podcast, episode show number 25. The Teal Shirt Report podcast from BigJReport.com. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. JC, we made it under 30 minutes. Man, we did. Let's bring out the guitar in honor of that, right? Bring it out. You guys have a great day. We're under 30 minutes. Teal Shirt Report podcast. I'm Scott, your host. And hey, I'm out. Have a great day, okay?